All praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachai, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, and wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Nasharah, Shalom. All right, we're going to get into another AI chat session here. We're going to go into part two of the video we watched the other day. All right, we stopped around this 8-minute mark. Now, it doesn't say 8 minute down here because I spent the time, but we are back, in that general area there. So, we're just going to, go and hit the button and finish off this video here.
It's shocking to think that there's people in the world who don't believe in God, who are atheists, who can read 2,000 years ago the prophecies in the Bible and what they say, which literally would not even make sense beyond the human capable mind 2,000 years ago. And here we are, and it's exactly falling into place perfectly.
And I'm actually glad he said that. Not picking up on it. The last session when he said, let me play it back real quick.
Beyond the human capable mind 2,000 years ago, and here we are, and it's exact.
So yeah, it says beyond the human mind it was capable of 2,000 years ago, and that's the beautiful thing about the prophecies. The Lord may have dealt with the prophets on a high level, but majority of the time they didn't understand what it meant. Right? There's a couple occasions where, like for example, 2 Esdras, the 13th chapter, where it talks about this, that, and the third thing. Then it say this is the interpretation of the dream. This, that, and the third thing. Then this is the interpretation of the dream. So it's actually broken down. But majority of the times, the Lord put these visions on the prophets. They didn't know what the heck was going on. They didn't know what they were seeing. Well, they know what they were seeing, but they didn't know the meaning of what it was they were seeing. They saw some beasts, but they didn't know it was empires. They saw this, they saw that, but they didn't know it was missiles or whatever. All right, modern day nuclear technology and things of that nature. So yeah, the deep understanding of the scriptures was beyond anybody's human imagination or comprehension back in those ancient days, unless it was actually broken down to them. Okay, which majority times it was not. But now today we live in a time where these things are being fulfilled. They're coming into fruition. So we actually have to know what they are. And one of the most major things in this time period is being able to know and identify the mark of the beast, which is the RFID, micro C-hit, all right? The mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip that would give the banking families full autonomy over every aspect of your lives from remote locations, because they themselves will not be taking it. They will be hiding out, controlling the system, the grid, or whatever, all right? Which gives them the fulfillment of them being God, which they're not really just making the point. They're going to try to play God through their technology, all right?
Falling into place perfectly. It wouldn't have even made sense for them to write, can't buy or sell, you're going to worship an image that talks, and if you don't worship this image, you're going to be martyred. And it's like, they didn't even know the size of the world at that time. There's people on islands, people who live in the mountains. How are they going to control?
Yeah, and the image that talks is not talking about, a picture of Cesar Borgia or anything like that, or an actual image for that matter. Okay, you following the ways of ancient Rome, which are spilled over today to America through, the Renaissance period moving forward. All right, the ways of life that he set up. All right, instead of sticking too closely to the ways of the Lord as possible, because we can't do everything, but we can, certain things that are humanly possible. Okay, but conforming to the ways of Esau instead of adhering to what the scriptures say.
Those people buy or sell. They don't even buy and sell anything. They're hunter-gatherers. Tons of people back then were hunter-gatherers. Didn't even make sense. Now, it makes complete sense. Everyone's relying on this system. And now we're seeing how they could enforce can't buy or sell. Are you going to actually worship the beast? Are you actually even loyal to the beast system? Because if you're not, you're taken out. Now it makes sense. They can even just read it with their technology now. These people it's just such a niche, amazing time. What a great time for an AI brand. I mean, these people, it's sick.
Consider this. The average person thinks thousands of thoughts each day. As a thought takes form, like a math calculation, you're happy, you're tired, you're hungry, you're elated. Neurons are firing in your brain, emitting tiny electrical discharges. As a particular thought takes form, hundreds of thousands of neurons fire in characteristic patterns that can be decoded with EEG or electroencephalography and AI-powered devices.
The government reading our brain, does anyone think that's a good idea? Does anybody, seriously, anybody think that's a good idea for them to have that power?
In fact, what you're seeing here is my brain activity while I'm wearing a simple device like the one on the right. We're not talking about implanted devices of the future. I'm talking about wearable devices that are like Fitbits for your brain.
It's so insane. Is it not insane? I mean, half these people probably really don't like Trump, so they think he's a tyrant. Do you want Trump to read your brain? And the other people who don't like Trump, do you want Obama to read your brain? Because guess what?
All these people like Trump. Not that Trump is important, but both sides. We'll just use word Democrats, Republicans, for an example. They all love each other. They're all in on everything. All right, it's just two wings of the same bird, and it's on the big screen. These are opposing parties, but really they just have different means to get to the same goal, because the goal is of that bird from where the wings extend, which is the agenda of the elites. I'm not saying that they're all deep into the plans and all this, that, and the third thing, but I'm just saying that's the general gist of it. All right, that they from orders come on from high, then up and down the chain. All right, so it's all about the agenda of the elites being fulfilled.
Whoever's in power, it's going to switch eventually. And these people are like, yeah, let's just give our power over to Donald Trump or to Obama or to Joe Biden or to George Bush to be able to read our thoughts and see what we're thinking. Are we angry? Oh, are you driving? Did you get angry when you're driving? Oh, here's a ticket in the mail. You're not allowed to get angry to this level while you're driving. We'll look a little bit into that in a minute. We saw this too. So things like you, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? You don't want to read my brainwaves right now watching this video. People are frustrating.
There's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. People believing.
And then how about this? They just openly say, so these are the 10 where we probably listened to a few of these. We'll skip them if we did. Now they say, oh, well, we have the technology. We can even just plant false memories in your brain. So we can inflict pain on you. We can put false memories in your brain. And if you react a certain way, we can know that. So the same people who are saying we can give you false memories are going to say, well, you can actually go to jail for the thoughts that you have. But they can also give you false memories. So who's going to be able to control one or the other? This technology thing, we have to be on top of it. And we can.
All right, I just thought about something probably not important at all, but I'm going to say anyways, talking about being able to plant false memories. And then you have the, is it called the polygraph test or whatever? The lie detector test. So what if they implant a false memory and then put you through a lie detector test? All right, and so you're going to have this fake memory, and then you incriminate yourself for something that you didn't even do. Now, I know that's far-fetched, but I was just, it's just random thought there. But it's very possible anyways. Not saying that they're going to do that. I'm just saying that the idea of it is very possible. And this comes back to mind, the like Minority Report and what's the other movie? I forget the name of the other movie offhand. But different types of movies, the technology that they show you in these movies, pre-crime and all this kind of stuff like that, they're trying to bring these things, into light. Not saying this is that pre-crime technology, but it's just in the realm of things because of what we're talking about, and being able to identify who you are, where you are, who you with, what you're doing, when you did it, and every other piece of information that can identify you and pinpoint you as accurate being this, John Doe person. You see? And being able to attempt to stop you from a crime, which that's just wicked anyways. Okay? That movie was very, I always mention that, with Tom Cruise's character, he was a hypocrite of that system because he was an officer arresting people before they so-called did a crime because of the thought technology. But then when his name came up, okay, now all of a sudden, oh, this is not right, this is wrong, this ain't true, and da-da-da-da. So he went on this whole escapade of trying to clear his name, but other people you would just lock up. And that's Esau for you, all right? He's going to escape his own system, but leave it for everyone else. But anyways, let's get back on point.
This is their systems. We can do it. They're not in control. They think they are because they go to these little panels and things. They're not in control of us. We are in control. That's why I make these videos, because let's bring the awareness to the people so we can say, no, absolutely not. 0% chance that we're going along with this technology.
That they've been at Disney World with characters who are not Disney.
And that's true. Okay, there's going to be people who are going to love this stuff, eat it up, and there's going to be people who are going to rebel. The thing is with these people that say and think they're going to rebel is they don't have a choice. Because once the really, SHTF and, the whole system is flipped, or you got blackouts and chaos and all these types of things, all right? Even if the Lord allows their spirit to keep that same energy that they don't want this system, it's going to be a heavy pressure on them to look around them and see, well, there's no other way to survive, okay? Which then they might be one of the ones that get put to death, or they may break and fold and take the devices or whatever the case may be, so they can live life again, so to speak. All right, and that's Israelite or non-Israelite, because the only ones that are going to overcome this are the hopeful elect remnant. All right, so yeah, because you do have people that are going to be rebelling, but they're going to be probably put to death or just left to their own devices, which means they're not going to be able to survive. They're going to be out here in the chaos. Okay, and eventually, they might get put to death, or, I don't know, form a group and be a cannibalist group, start eating people. Okay, it's very possible. These different scenarios, but that's the heaviness of him bringing in his chip, introducing his chip to the world, because it's going to be at the peak of people's neediness, okay, and want of survival. And then he's going to offer it up, and a lot of people are going to flock to it. Okay.
Characters, taking photographs with those characters. Many of those products are hitting the market this year. They will be capable of doing
Brain
very
reading.
high
It's a quick video. We'll just watch them even if we saw it already.
level brain state reading. Things like, are you tired? Are you paying attention? Is your mind wandering? Are you happy or sad? One of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neuroscience is pain detection.
Let me go back, because it says, if your mind is wandering, if you're happy or you're sad. Okay, so I'm standing in, or maybe not me, but a person is standing in, like, I don't know, a long bank line, all right? And then they're mad. They'll be able to pick up on whether or not you're mad, all right? Oh, a lot of times going into like grocery stores, man, and it always pisses me off, but waiting at the self-checkout counter, because I always go to the self-checkout counter, but then you got people who don't know what the hell they're doing, all right? People that don't know what they're doing should be made to go to people at registers, because you're holding up because that defeats the purpose of a self-checkout, for you to go there, do your own thing, and you're in and you're out. Okay, the line is moving. You have people that will go to the self-checkout who have no idea what they're doing. They see this long line, they'll move slow, and it pisses me off, because you see other people here who want to check out, and then you're moving slow, and you don't know what you're doing. You need to be at a register. You don't need to be trying to self-checkout. Okay, but I don't want to rant, but it's true though. Okay, you probably experienced it though, all right, from time to time, where you go to the self checkout and it's got to be some people here who don't know what the heck they're doing. So it's like, why are you over here? You should have went to the person that's at the register, because they'll keep at least one or two around. But most of everywhere you go now is all self checkout. See. Anyways.
And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures?
That is evil.
So yeah, so look, 144 on screen. His clicker. So they want to know how to inflict pain. Who wants to inflict pain on people? Let me get the scriptures, because I haven't got any scriptures yet. Let me see if I can pull up a book. To inflict pain on somebody, man. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I'm in Isaiah. I can jump right to 14. Let me get Thessalonians. Isaiah 14. And what verse am I looking for? Yeah. Matter of fact, let's just start right here. Get 12 and 13. Isaiah 14, 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? All right, Lucifer is talking about these so-called elite, these bankers, all right? The Illuminati, the Luciferians, okay? They're the bringers of a dark light, all right? That left-hand side, wickedness, witchcraft, sorcery, magic, and things of that nature. Like it says in another chapter in Isaiah, stand out with thine enchantments, which thou hast labored from thy youth, okay, O daughter of the Chaldeans, all right, daughter of Babylon. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Because eventually they're going to be taken out of power. All right. And this is a prophecy of them being taken out of power with all the AI technology and other things and systems and all this kind of madness that they're creating. The end game for them is to be taken out of power. There are things to be destroyed. I think also it speaks about that in Isaiah 34, where it says, it talks about the bullocks and the bulls and all these different things. Yeah, their army men are going to be destroyed. Their little satellites and whatever so-called space stations are going to be, taken up from out of the air. All right, and so on and so forth. All the little technology is going to be destroyed. See, and they're going to be taken into captivity. But anyway, it says, which didst weaken the nations. For thou hast said in thine heart, which your heart is your mind. All right, this is their mind, just like in the ancient days with the Tower of Babel. Okay, we're going to build up, to the heavens, man. So this God of the sky here wants to bring another flood. Guess what, people? We're going to survive. Yeah, let's build. Let's build. That's what happened. And the Lord came down and the Lord confounded it. And that's where he split up all the different languages. Ain't no talking about no hamalama shamalama. Okay? He gave different languages in the earth. And ours continued on as the Paleo Hebrew. Anyways, for thou hast said in thine heart, their mind, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And this is their mind. Okay. The main person they want to chip up is you Israelites. Why? Because you are the temple of the Lord. 1 Corinthians 3, I think it's around 16. No, you're not. You're the temple of the Lord. Okay. All right. He dwells within you. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. The most proud, most boastful statement that a man can make, especially this man, because he is the basis of all men, the lowest, the dumbest, the scummest of all men. But he's making the most proud statement of all men, that I'm going to be above and I'm going to be like the Most High. And he's going to achieve that through what? His technologies, that can, your whereabouts, your location. They be able to check your temperature, know your gait, your health records, your all your whatever history you could think about, man. Everything that is able to identify you as being you. Okay. And then I'm talking about putting pain in people and these other things that they're talking about in the video. All these things will be incorporated into their little chip device. Okay, like we mentioned, I think we mentioned it last time, that session. I should have looked up the name of the movie. I forgot though. It wasn't Implanted. That was a good movie, but it was another movie with a chick in it, right? And the machine, the device started to tell her to do things that she didn't want to do, and inflict pain on her, talk about shutting down and all these different things. So yeah, but it's not going to be like AI technology is alive, but what it is going to be Esau controlling that. But that's part of him feeling like he's God, and that's just one little corner aspect. Okay, this technology is super wicked, right? So it says, I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the grave. All right, but before they get brought down to the grave, all right, because hell is the grave, but hell is also a condition that you play on the earth. So they're going to be brought down to a lowy state, all right, because the scriptures tell us that all of our enemies, every one of them shall go into captivity. And the Lord tells us that he's going to put, Deuteronomy 37, he's going to put the curses upon our enemies. So they're going to be brought to the lowest state that we're in. They're going to be brought to that lowest state for 1,000 years, talking about the Edomites. Not every nation, because they are going to captivity too, without speaking directly about the Edomites. They're going to be brought down to this hellish condition for 1,000 years, and then they're going to be wiped out. So yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. See, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? You see, the man, not the spiritual demon Satan. Is this the man? This group of individuals here that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Mainly us Israelites. See? This is the end game of him. All right, so we read from his downfall to his stopping of because the scriptures talk about him being caught in his own snare. All right, the system that he's going to bring forth is actually going to lead to his destruction. All right, it's in his inward thoughts that his houses shall continue forever. But the Lord's going to allow this man to bring the chip, so he can get dipped, right? He's going to bring the chip so he can bring this man down. Okay, take him out of power. But he's also going to use the chip to snare a lot of people, right? Because this is the Lord's doing, all right? He's declaring the end from the beginning. So he's going to allow a lot of people, including 2/3 of our people, to get snared into this device so they can be destroyed. Let's play some more of this video. We're almost through.
And demonic to even think that. It is. I mean, just to instill pain into person for coercive measures, could we do that? And they're just sitting up there, that's so interesting.
Yeah, they're saying, you're not doing what I like. It's like the what is it called? Electric shock therapy or something like that. Shock therapy. All right, well, like you got a person who can't stop smoking cigarettes. All right, so they agree to get electrical shocked when they smoke or even they think about smoking. So you think about being against my system and you being against anything that I deem that's right or okay, whatever. All right, we can put some pain on you, or if we just want to do it for kicks, we can do that. People are demons, man.
We can eat tonight, and we can talk a little bit more about how we can instill pain into people to coerce things out of them. Yeah, interesting. This is a very niche market that I want to get in on. I mean, how are these people so demonic?
In the legal system as well.
Every camera you walk past that is integrated with AI systems increasingly can decode mental states.
We'll see that in a minute.
It's kind of like the final piece of
And to answer this question, they're so demonic because they're the wicked of the scriptures. You see? I think it was David said, deliver me from the wicked, which is thy sword, that left hand, right? Deliver me from the wicked. Malachi, All right, the border of wickedness, Malachi 1:4. Job 9:24, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. Going back to their blessing, they were given the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above. So the Lord has linked them together, who they are. Right, the wicked. Habakkuk chapter 2 calls them death. Who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death. Because everything this man touches is the reverse Midas touch. All right, things wither away, things die, things are affected, sickly, whatever the case may be. He is as death. Because death does what? Death kills. Because that's what death is. It's death. Right? So he is as death, man. So these Edomites are definitely identified in the scriptures, man, as being the number one most wicked nation on the planet, man.
You might be able to make inferences about what a person is thinking from their facial expressions and from their eye movements.
I started to see companies with prototypes that were embedding brain sensors into everyday devices like a watch or a wristband or headphones or earbuds. The promises of being able to access your own brain, change your own brain, and even potentially access the brains of others is extraordinarily exciting. Well, you'll say, privacy is gone already, it's all right. But wasn't your brain the one area in which you thought you would always have some sense of privacy?
And this is it. This is our last bastion of privacy, I think. And it's almost over. All right?
We can
Hear that? Privacy is almost over. Hey, what did it say? They speak lawfully concerning oppression. Okay, let me read it because I want to get the whole scripture. 70, I think it's 73. Yeah. Yep. It says, let's start at verse 5. They are not, Psalm 73:5, they are not in trouble as other men. Yeah, the so-called elite banking families, right? Okay, that 1%. Neither are they plagued like other men, all right? Because they sick. Obviously, they can get sick and die because they're just mortal men, right? But I mean, like the regular troubles that the everyday person has to face, they don't face that. The poison food and, they don't have to eat that. They can get fresh animals and things. The poison air. You think chemtrails is getting sprayed over their homes? Of course not. And if they are, then it just shows you how stupid that man is. Okay, my belief is that the chemtrails are not going over there, but it's very possible. Okay. Anyways, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish, but they're so wicked, they don't want to do anything, to change the world, to help the world, to help the people. Because it tells you in the Apocrypha that they hate men, all right, despise people or something like that. Yeah. Therefore, pride is their necklace. Violence covers them like a garment, like a long, luxurious robe. Their eye bulges from fatness. They have more than heart desires. The imaginations of their mind run riot with foolishness. You see, to think that to take over the world, be above like the Most High, stop Yahweh shining angels. These are all foolish thoughts, man. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine the vain thing? These are all foolish thoughts, man. That a mere man is going to take over an all-powerful, all-seeing, all-knowing. All right, God is not even putting a real stamp on it, man, because the Heavenly Father's power is just unimaginable. But you get the point, though. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their ears right there. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Their lies, their wickedness, their magic, their sorcery, and their boasting, and their pride. See that? So let's go back.
wake up.
She's not saying this stuff is like, we're here, this is happening, it's moving this direction, what can we do to stop it? She's excited about the new niche market that's opened, that she can be at the forefront of. And she thinks that she'll have a blocker and it won't be used against her or her family. It will be used against you too. It will be used against everyone. Even those who submit to the Antichrist system, which this is 100% leading to that. And even if you don't believe that, just imagine like the worst tyrant world leader. Obviously that's going to happen once again. They will be in power. And when they are, these systems will be used against them too. And they will be forced to absolute submission to this tyrannical system. Imagine Donald Trump, but way worse. Evil and times, who knows, a lot. And now you're going to be submitting to that system. How do these people not understand it's going to be used against them? It'll be used against everyone. This is not a funny thing or a cool thing.
And decode faces that you're seeing in your mind. simple shapes, numbers, your PIN number to your bank account.
That's the WEF for you. So, we'll see this too. Or I think we may have watched this, but we'll just check if we did or not. And then we'll kind of wrap this up on these 2 videos and see one more though here about the camera thing that she was mentioning. Like, oh, now we have the cameras. We can just even tell how you're acting, what you're thinking by this AI system with camera. We'll see something interesting on that after this. Let's see if we watch this.
That's why we want to be able to find better ways to monitor whether somebody is paying attention or they're doing something different.
I don't think we did.
The newest way to monitor attention is through a device like this one. These are ear pods that are launching later this year. These ear pods, much like the video you watched earlier, are ear pods that can pick up brainwave activity and tell whether or not a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering.
And this is basically what? Trial and error technology. Because if they can perfect something like this AirPod thing here, it's going to be incorporated in that microchip, man. See, that microchip is their true source of so-called power. It's not really power. That's why it's called so-called power. But that microchip is their true source of so-called power. All right? And achieving that, in their mind, a godlike status, which is not really that. But in their minds, it is. When they can control people. Okay? But that so-called control system is limited. See? Because they're not the Heavenly Father. They can't do what he can do. They can't create a soul. They might can make a clone, but there ain't no soul in it because souls come from the Lord. Souls belong to the Lord. That's why when you die, it goes back to the Lord. That's something that he saw. Something that Esau can't harness, man.
Okay, well, you might think, fine, but even if we can tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, you can't tell what they're paying attention to. You would be wrong. Turns out that you can not only tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, but you can discriminate between the kinds of things that they're paying attention to. Whether they're doing something like central tasks, like programming, peripheral tasks, like writing documentation, or unrelated tasks, like surfing social media or online browsing.
And it's basically what? Making you a robot. Making you controllable. Because remember they talked about inflicting still on the person. So if your mind is wandering, you see that? How that plays into one thing plays into another? Or they're not focusing. Let's kick a little pain in. He's basically a robot, a human robot. But what do they say? Human beings are hackable. What's also hackable? Programs, all right? The prompts, you see? The coding, hackable. So now they're saying that human beings are hackable.
When you combine brainwave activity together with other forms of software and surveillance technology, the power becomes quite precise. So what do we do with this? What do we do with technology that enables us to monitor brainwave activity for attention? Do we embrace it? Do we resist it?
Resist.
I believe that there is a pathway forward with such technology, but it's putting it in the hands of employees.
You think that they're going to really keep it? You think it will actually stay in the hands of employees and just the citizens? Are you kidding me? Come on. Come on, you're being used at these events and you can't think beyond that? Come on, anybody could think that.
Enabling them to use it for themselves as a choice. Whether or not they want to focus, whether or not they want the technology in order to improve their own performance, but not using it as a measure of their brain metrics to decide whether to fire them, hire them, or to watch for their lagging cognitive decline over time and using it as a way to discriminate against them.
This is obviously getting to the point where people, it will take mass resistance. And once they realize we don't go along with their systems, they're not getting our money, we just won't be a part of it, we'll have no part of it whatsoever, then they'll just have to realize, oh, okay. Just, I know I say it all the time on this channel, and it's true, and it's important, because they tried the Great Reset before. There will never be a new normal, they told us before, and guess what? We resisted it, and there's no new normal. There was no Great Reset. They failed because we resisted, and so we got to do it again with this technology. Ultimately, the prophecies of the end time, the beast system, the Antichrist, and all that will come to play, but I don't think it's our place as Christians in the world to just submit and sit back and say, well, the Antichrist is coming. I can see how this is moving towards that, and, I'm just going to do nothing, whatever, it'll happen. Because guess what? What if it doesn't happen this way? What if it happens in a way that we do not expect, something outside of this, and it's like 30 years away? But in the meantime, now we have technology where the government or our employee is watching what we're thinking, if we're looking at social media and all this stuff, and here we are 20 years down the line, like, I wonder if we would have resisted if we would have gotten out of this one too, like we did the Great Reset. I'm not going to be part of that camp. So here she is, Nita A. Farhani is an American author, academic and scholar focusing on...
And it's easy to say that now, but if the Lord's not dealing with you, all right, then you're going to take this shit, man. That's if you're alive, for it, because a lot of people are going to get put to death. If they're alive for it, they're going to take this as a C hit.
Ramifications of new technology.
I'm not saying that technology she showed on the screen was a C hit, but all these different things that they create, they all lead up to the C hit. Because they're going to merge everything that's that's useful to their system into that C-hip, and then put the C-hip inside of people.
Society, law, and ethics. Not hearing her talk about the ethics of it, the law of it, society, how to ban it, how to stop it. Sounds like she's just like, yeah, it's pretty cool, guys. I mean, it's amazing how this is all changing, isn't it? It's just like, wow. And we get to be a part of it. It's just, yeah. She's like, we should be fighting this, resisting it. That's the only thing that we should know. Here's a little something. I'll get into this further in a different video. Here we can see the flock cameras. The amount of flock cameras installed nationally. It's 5x'd in 2 years, nearly 100,000 total. Identifying the public. Identifying, and just like she just said in that last video, or the one before that, actually.
Identifying your face and your gait and, your license plates and all these different things, all right? And then pairing together with other, different systems that they have, all right? So they like we keep saying over and over, knowing exactly who you are without a shadow of a doubt.
With the cameras, they can see the facial recognition. They know what you're doing. They can know what you're thinking even, and stuff like this. And I'm seeing people getting tickets in the mail for just having their camera on their lap, not even looking at the camera, or their phone on their lap while they're driving in a car, because of these flock cameras that are going up everywhere. The technology is going to be used in a tyrannical way, whether you believe in the Antichrist or not. It will be used by abusive powers, and it will ultimately be used by him, whether you want to know that or not.
There is no him, right? The scriptures say there's many antichrists, many, okay? But these people in these churches keep talking about one thing, which goes to show you they're reading over, key things, or either they're not believing it. But the scriptures clearly say there's many antichrists, many anti-messiahs, okay? Not some one dude, but that goes to their false doctrine. See, that they've been taught. So long as they believe their doctrine, they don't care the search out whether or not there's one or many. When the scriptures clearly say there's many, anyways.
But even if you can't get there yet, and I pray you will come to know the biblical truth, it will obviously be used by a politician who you don't like. Whether it's a Trump or an Obama, there will be more of those types of people. And they're going to be the ones in control of this technology. So this must be...
No, they won't. The bankers are in control, you see. They don't know exactly what they're talking about. They have their eye on the technology, all right? They're going in the right direction as far as the technology goes. But then when it comes to the prophecies, they don't know what the heck they're talking about.
We must resist all of this type of technology. I pray in Jesus' name, Nita will...
All right, we got enough from you. So yeah, so let's close it out here. Because I can drop that. Because everybody should know about the Revelation 13, verse 16, 17, and 18. All right, going into the C-hip that we've been talking about. Now, I'm not saying that what we showed in the video was the C-hip. I'm just saying these types of devices and technology can be incorporated into the C-hip and used, because the C-hip is the ultimate one. All right, but what we're going to do, not Jude. All right, actually not read Revelation 13. We're going to read Revelation 14 and the penalty for taking this device. Let's start at verse 9. So it says, what? Doom for worshipers of the beast, those that, bow the knee to his soul, all right, and his system and his ways. Okay, and ultimately took his devices. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, all right, system and his ways, to, kind of generalize it, and Esau runs the system, right, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. All right? And I'm glad I can get that mark here, because that mark is the what? See, the Quran. Oh, I got the wrong one. Clicked by mistake. Go back. Here it is. Mark. Right, the word mark in the Greek is charagma. You see? And it says a stamp or imprinted mark. See? Of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-messiahs. All right? Because basically these devices have to go, well, you got the brain device or whatever, or you have the body device that have to go inside your hand. That's the main device that they want to implement. The one that goes inside of your body, you see. So the mark branded upon horses, like in the Old Testament, tells you, in Exodus 21, that they didn't want the slave didn't want to go out from his master. He would bore him through his ear with an awl. Okay. So this is no different. It's just a digital awl. See? And then here it says theme card, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. All right. Because it's going to be him that you worship if you take this device. See, a pale or staple palisade, that's basically, what they're going to use to put it underneath your skin, which is, what they would call a hypodermic needle. get the root word all the way to the bottom, which is grapho. Right, grapho means to write. All those different things we talked about will be all on that device. Okay, digitally coded, or not coded, but right, digitally. All right, in that device. All right, all your information there. See. So let's go back. Finish this off. So it says, yep, and we receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, because you have the brain chips, cure blind sight, make the people move, claim to give you telepathy, and it's all, pseudo miracles, all right? All signs and wonders, okay? And then you have the main one that goes into your hand, which is their whole system of control. That's how they get that, their idea that they're being God, right? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the highest, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. So yeah, the wrath of the Lord is ultimately going to be death and destruction by nuclear missiles of America, and a lot of people are going to be in that lake of fire. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, because when Yahushua pops up, the angels are coming with them. All right, and they're going to be using laser fire on this place, right, while the destruction is taking place, as he delivers up the remnant right before, all right, this place, is destroyed by the missiles. So those, oh wow, I've never read an MP there. Look, check this out. It says, he too will have to drink of the wine of the wrath of the highest, mixed undiluted into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and brimstone, flaming sulfur, in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, the Messiah, Yahushua. See? And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, which is really just for a period of time, because we know that because the Lord says that desert creatures are going to be here afterwards. So we know the fire has to die down at some point. And they have no rest day and night, those who worship the beast in his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. That is the end game, all right, for those that fall to the system. That's why, there's always a constant, message to repent and return to the Lord. You Israelites, not everybody. This is an Israelite thing. Israelites to repent and return to the Lord, all right, and seek his mercy, all right, because you don't want to be taken by this device, because ultimately it's going to be death, all right. So that's pretty much it, all right. So I'm going to say, Lord, will you edify to this? And Yahshua, I'm going to say, Shalom.